as well, we're speaking a different language. And I'm like, well, it's English for sure, but we know how you struggle. So I'm like, okay, I'll call them and just see what I can get done. But I'm like, oh, that's upsetting. So I phoned them, and the lady, or no, it's a guy, gets on there, and I'm trying to explain. He goes, oh, do you have your PIN code? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, listen, I know you can't tell me a lot of it, but I explained the situation, and I'm like, just tell me, like, let's just start here. You don't have to tell me anything about it. Is the account paid? Like, did they pay the right account? Did they pay the wrong account? A yes or no? Like, you don't have to tell me the amounts or nothing. And the guy's like, it looks good. No, the account's fine. So I'm like, okay, so we have a problem. I mean, like, the guy was really nice to work with me, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I can walk you through a hard reset, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not even over there. So I'm like, I will phone you back. Or he's like, I'll phone you back at 3, blah, blah, blah. So as I go over there, and I'm looking at the phones, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with this, something.
Oh, no, we're, like, taking phones from other places.
Well, you're trying to move things to be like, is it a jack? What is it, And then I'm downstairs, the modem, I'm like, well, so I have to phone Telus back, go through the whole thing with this new lady. Like, oh, you're not on the account. I'm like, then my hand the phone, can't have the phone back. He's like, hello? And he's like, hello? And he's like, is somebody there? Like, he's looking at me, is she there? Is she there? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I'm like, I can hear her, hello, sir? And I'm like, right there. What do you want me to do? Is there somebody? Do I have to phone someone? And I'm like, you can hear her talking. Just say yes. Just say yes. And he's like, hello? What? And then he goes, oh, you're there. And he's like, and you hear her talking. He goes, I don't run no computers or nothing. I don't run no computers or nothing. Okay, like, no, I don't do that. I got a thing in my body. I don't run no computers. And he goes, and then he always does this with his face. Like, and I'm like, put your fucking hearing aids. He's like, what? And I'm like, I don't run. I can't understand her. So I take it back and I go, well, that was him.
You forgot about the driver's license.
Oh, no. Then she's like, do you have your driver's license, sir? He goes, my what? Yeah, I got a driver's license. I've been driving for 40 years. Of course I got a driver's license. And she goes, do you have the driver's license? Well, of course I got it. It's in my wallet. Why wouldn't I have my driver's license? And I'm like, she's trying to identify you. What? So I finally take it back, and I'm like, okay, do you see what I'm dealing with? And she's just like, okay, sir. She goes, you know what? We're just going to go ahead with this. And I'm just like, yeah, fuck, thank you, you thing. Like, that was
That's
him.
as good as that is.
That there is as good as it's ever going to get. So as she goes through the whole thing with her walk, she goes downstairs and she walks me through a hard reboot and all. And the best part is, I'm like, okay, my mom's watching TV. I'm like, they're doing a hard reboot, so the internet, the cable's going to go down.
Oh
and she's just like, Urgh! And I'm like, what does mean? And she goes, Urgh! Like, I'm like, no, you don't want, you want your phone fixed? Yeah. I'm like, then they're going to do a hard reboot. It's going to be down. And I'm like for 5 minutes here, like, we can do 5 minutes. And then finally, whatever. So then the second they cut it, I'm downstairs and I hear upstairs a whole bunch of screaming. And I'm like, what's the matter? You're upset because the TV's out. And I'm like 5 minutes, people, just 5 minutes. So the lady walks me through this reboot. We do the reboot, all this stuff. We figure out that all the equipment outside into the house is good, like the modem and all that stuff. So we're like, okay, it's good. So we're like, she goes, so something in the house. And I'm like, okay, well, she goes, well, we can have a technician come out. And I'm like, well, she said, but it's $160 just to show up. And I'm like, well, and then I said, well, the modem, there's a plug-in on the modem. So I'm like, all I do is get the cordless, plug the base in down at the modem downstairs in the laundry room, and then all the cordless phones work in the house because it's all been Bluetooth. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, okay, like, we'll talk to blah. So we get all this set up, so plug in all the cords. So there's phones up, so everything's working.
Right?
Yeah. Right, except for his phone. And so then my dad, I need to get that fixed. And I'm just like, well, it's going to be $160. And like, tell me, like, it's going to cut. No, we got to have our phones working. And so me, everyone's like, it's like, so I left it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll call them and I'll set up an appointment. Yeah. So the next day, he kind of mentioned, did you get a hold of Telus? I'm like, yeah, they're super busy. And I'm just like, whatever. And then like 3 days later, I'm just getting phone calls still. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, so I go over there again. I'm like, it's $160 for him just to show up, not including repairs. Like, you get that, right? Like, the phones are all working now. They're cordless phones. And he's like, my phone in the garage isn't working. I'm like, we just buy you a cordless phone. It's way cheaper. We just go and buy a cordless phone, put it out there. No, I really think safety-wise, I need that phone working. I'm like, okay. I'm like, fine. Fuck it, I'll phone him. So I phone him, book the appointment. And so the guy's coming, and he was coming yesterday, and I'm like, I got a meeting. Like, I can't. So the guy phones me, the guy's like, I can be there in half an hour. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, okay, well, my dad there. Like I said, I can't be there. So I explained to him, and I said, in all honesty, yeah, like, he's not going to understand a whole lot of what's going on. The guy's going, okay, I'll fix it. I'm like, okay, good. So he goes there, does whatever. I finish my meeting, whatever, phone my dad. And I'm like, oh, so did the guy show up? Oh, yeah, he was here. He was here. And I'm like, okay, good. Did he get the phones working? Oh, he was here, but no, he didn't get those phones working. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you get the phones working? Well, I go, I just phoned you on the house phone. Like, you answered off the house phone. So, like, is it just the way we had it set up with the cordless? And he's like, no, like, the black phone's in the kitchen. And I'm like, so the hardwired, like, black phone's in the kitchen. It's plugged into the kitchen? Yeah. So it's working? Yeah. I'm like, oh, so he did fix it? No. And I'm like, but is the kitchen and the phone working? No, the kitchen and the phone's not working. I thought you just said the black phone's in the kitchen working. Yeah. He goes, I'm talking on it right now. So I'm like, so it's fixed? Yeah. I'm like, so the kitchen phone's fixed? And then he literally goes, no. And I'm like, are you? And I'm like, fucking breathe deep, man. I'm like, take that. Real simple. Are you talking on the kitchen phone? Yes. Is it the black phone that's been there for years? Yes. Is that plugged into the wall, like where it always is plugged into the jack? Yes. So it's working? Yes. So he fixed it? No. And I'm like, it has to be fixed if you're talking on it. Well, no, he told me that there's a jack out. One of the jacks out in this house. And he goes, there's no jacks in this house. There's only the one right here. And I'm like, there's a jack in your bedroom. There's a jack downstairs. There's a jack out in the garage. Well, I thought there might have had to be more, but I didn't know what the hell these things were. And he goes, so he plugged in some machine and it told him that the jack is gone. So we tore this house apart. I'm like, no, you didn't. And he said, I couldn't find a single jack.
Tell this guy would have been tipped off by the presence of another phone.
And I'm just
he
like,
probably would have followed the cord
and Dad's like, but
to the
so
wall.
he can't find that jack, so he couldn't fix it. So he's got a phone plugged into the laundry room still where you had it plugged into. I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's a cordless one? Yep. I'm like, okay, so he plugged it in there, but I'm like, the phone in the kitchen that you're talking on right now, it's black. Yep. It's plugged into the jack. Yep. So he fixed it. Well, no. Like, it's not working. There's a jack that's not working. I go, okay, there's a jack that's not working, but the one you're talking on is, in fact, working. So he fixed it. Well, yeah, he fixed that. And I'm like, so everything's good, though. So there's just a jack somewhere that doesn't work. Yeah, but he didn't fix anything. And I'm like, okay. All right, okay, well, you know what? When I come over, and he goes, the guy did say, though, that you should call him. And I'm like, oh, he did? He goes, yeah. He says you have his number and call him so he can explain what happened. Because I don't think I'm understanding. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, you are far away from understanding. So I'm just like, whatever. So I just hang up, and then I phones me this morning because I couldn't go over there. And the second she phones me, like, what's going on? She goes, and I'm like, oh shit. I go, shit. I go, how is that? She goes, okay. Like okay. And I'm like, you've said okay like 15 times. It wasn't okay. She goes, no, it was not okay. She goes, first when I walked in, the first thing I did was ask about the phones, and I'm like, oh. And she goes, I can't understand him. She goes, I don't even know what the hell's going on. She goes, at first I was trying to like ask him questions, and she goes, by the end I just was agreeing with him, so he stopped talking. But she goes, he just kept talking in circles, and I was dying laughing. I'm like, yeah, no, I got that part. And then he goes, and then Mom got a text on her phone saying, tell us just charge them $167. And she was like, she was shaking, like, why do we have to pay this? Because you had the technician come out. But why do we have to pay for that? We told you. Well, why are we paying for this? We shouldn't have to pay for this. And we're both just like, we told you guys like 100 times that they charge for this. So that was this whole thing, and it was just a nightmare. So I phoned the guy today, and the guy answers. I'm like, yeah, it's great. You know, you were at my dad. Oh, he goes, oh, hey, man, can I call you back? I got to pull over for this. So he phones back like 7 minutes later. He goes, sorry, no, I needed to be fully concentrated on this one. And he was the nicest guy in the world. Like, you could tell how much patience he had. But he says he's explaining what went on. And I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of that. But I'm going, yeah, he was confused. And the guy's like, hey, listen, at that age, and there's a lot of information, he was very confused. And he goes, I kept telling him, like, there's other jacks in the house because my machine will show me. Like, he showed me 4 jacks. Register doesn't show me where they're, just shows us 4, and 1 was dead. So he goes, I just disconnected it until I found the dead one, and then all the other ones worked. But he goes, you know where the jacks were. And he goes, we looked a little bit, but he kept telling me there are no jacks. And and so he goes, I just thought I'll leave it because that jack's dead. So he goes, like, whatever. So anyways, I went through with him, but I was just like, well, thanks for being patient. He goes, I thought you'd be giving me a call. Because he goes, he was confused. But he just kept saying, but at that age, and I'm like, no, I get it, but it's, a little frustrating.
Oh, man.
It was painful. Poor guy.